I want to bring in the creator of Bitball, Matt. Great to see you.
Hey, what's going on, Nick?
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and your background here.
Yeah, sure. So I started making Bitball about 2 years ago. I was recently engaged, and I was playing another game actually at the time called Retro Bowl, which is a fantastic game. If you ever played Tecmo Bowl or anything, really fun mobile football game. And I had been wanting to make a baseball game for years. I could just never see it. Could never see what it looked like. And I was sitting there playing Retro Bowl on my phone, pretty simple control, simple game. And I was like, oh my God, like we need a baseball game like this. And so ever since then, I mean, it's just been like, you know, I can't put it down. I can't stop working on it.
Awesome.
But the gist of it is it's basically like a franchise baseball game. So on your phone. So you'll control roster management and trades, drafting, player progression. You'll get to play in the games. You'll get to set your ticket prices and concession prices and all sorts of stuff. There's tons of features. I really wanted a game that I could kind of take with me. I don't have the time necessarily to sit down and play MLB The Show for, hours and hours and hours anymore. And so really something that you can play for 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there, but still kind of have that, franchise management, gameplay.
Right. Oh man. No, I gotta be honest with you. I'm super into video games. I don't play them nearly as much as I used to. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that you gotta push aside when it's just there's so many other things stealing my attention now. But I still keep on top of them. Like I still want to know all the news that's going in and stuff. And I remember actually, I can't remember when, maybe it was 2 years ago that you tweeted at me and Alex asking for permission to put pitcher lists in the background as like a advertisement. You're just adding these random things. I'm like, are you kidding? This is the coolest thing ever. There's just pitcher lists in the back, the batter's eye. This is amazing. And since then I've actually, I've actually been thinking a lot about like what is missing in the baseball video game sphere. And obviously there's like MLB The Show, which is just taking over that whole like cool, here you are playing the game as much as you can. And the fact that it's exclusive rights is really frustrating. But you also have a Super Mega Baseball, which does its own more arcadey feel of baseball, which can be really fun for people that really appreciate like NFL Blitz and NBA Street, that kind of stuff. And then you have OTP, which is more of the franchise element of it.
Simulation.
Right. And what would you say? And there's RBI baseball I want to throw in there too, which is a lot more streamlined. And how would you say that Bitball fits in with all of that?
It's definitely more arcadey, but it still has those sort of franchise management things like roster management strategy. You only have so many roster spots and you only have so much money to allot to your players. So how do you build your team and what are the, you don't get to choose the player pool, kind of like real life baseball. You don't get to choose who's in the draft, and you get who's available to you, and you're trying to piece together a team. Do you want to focus on pitching and maybe have, a little worse hitters, but you have really good pitching, or do you want to have a lot of speed or a lot of power? And just being in the video game industry, like I play video games, I'm on forums and subreddits and all that kind of stuff, and you see people come up with their own play styles for games. They'll kind of create their own limitations within their playthrough of a certain game. You see it all the time in like the speedrunning community or the challenge community. And so I'm really hoping that it can kind of almost be all of those things. Definitely more arcadey. It's not like a hardcore simulation thing. But it's, I think it'll be really fun. And I think the thing that I like most about it is it's on your phone. You can play it wherever, you're waiting 10 minutes for whatever, you're waiting in between meetings, or you're in the bathroom, or wherever.
You can play for just a bit.
Yeah, you can play for just I'm stealing that. But
It's Bitball, you know. It's
yeah, yeah. So I think it'll be really fun. It's such a weird thing, and I think you and Ron were kind of talking about at the end of the last session of like it sort of takes over your life in a way that like I don't know if I'll ever be able to enjoy the game just
Oh
playing it
yeah, no,
myself, which is
yeah,
ironic because I was like, oh, I want this game, so I'm going to make it.
right.
Because I'll always see the little flaws or the things that need to be fixed or improved and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
that's the oh boy, being a creator, you'll never look past those things.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, the thing is, still need to be like, okay, this is fun. Still, I still will enjoy this in some way.
yeah.
It's not just completely worn out. And then you'll know that cool. If I'm still enjoying it after this time, then like there is something to this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and is it something that is like, cool? I just pick up my phone and I get to just play a game, or is it more like leaning in on the franchise creation?
Definitely franchise. So you'll pick it up, you'll start a new franchise, you'll pick what team you want, what city, you originate in. You'll, you are like the GM of your team.
Okay.
And when you create a new franchise, you get a random batch of players to start with. And when the game comes out, it'll be kind of like the end of the season. You're taking over for the previous GM who kind of left the roster in a terrible state, and you got to pick up the pieces and start building like a dynasty.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist.
Nice. And is it more like how much are you going to be playing the act on the field with your team?
It'll probably be about 50-50. So like
Okay.
you can play either 6 or 9 inning games. So
Mm-hmm.
you can choose anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes to get through a full game. And then in between games, there's some stuff you can do, like maybe you want to go make a trade, maybe you want to sign a free agent.
Sure.
There's player progression, so you'll earn your players will earn experience points based on their on-field.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Their on-field performance. So like
And
at the end
what
of
kind of
each
stuff
game,
do they gain? Is it just like their power ability, their
yeah.
contact, and
So
that kind of stuff?
hitters, they have there's like 4 attributes for hitters and
Mm-hmm.
pitchers. There's hit, which is basically how good are they at just making contact. Power, which is like how hard they hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Speed, how fast they run, and then defense, which affects how hard they can throw the ball. And there's like some decision making mechanics that
Oh, nice. So you added like a whole thing about, all right, make the smart decision. Don't
right,
hit the cutoff man. Don't hit the cutoff man. That kind
exactly.
of stuff.
So like for example, when you're playing, you hit a ball into the gap, it goes to the outfield wall. If the outfielder has a really good arm, he's just going to throw it straight to the base he's trying to throw to. He's not going to throw it to the cutoff man.
Right.
Whereas like a worse defender, they're going to throw it to the cutoff man. It's just going to slow down,
Yeah, sure.
their ability to get you out, kind of thing. And then on the pitching side, there's stamina, so how long they can
Yeah.
go in the
Is it
game.
like stuff plus, location plus, and stamina?
Yeah. Well, I would love to get stuff like that in there. There's velocity, movement, and control. So how hard they throw, how much movement their pitches have, which can be interesting, and then their ability to throw strikes. So it's actually kind of interesting. I've played it so many times, and you'll get different pitchers who have ton of velocity and like no movement, and their slider is almost like a cutter.
Yeah.
So you actually get like differentiation in the pitch shapes. It's not like every slider is exactly the same or every changeup. And
it's all it's all 2D though, right? It's like from the bird's eye view. So as far as like a curveball versus a slider, it's kind of harder. You got to really lean on velocity difference, and then making the horizontal maybe different, or it's a little. You don't really have the depth, of course.
Correct. It's a little tricky. Like
right.
It was tricky to create enough variation in those pitch shapes, but still have it be not too hard, but not super easy. Like you don't want it to be super easy.
And
either, so
is there any thought put into? I'm sure there is, obviously, but I mean, like you're trying to make this it's not realistic, but it's realistic. It's adhering to the full rules of baseball and the realm of like human. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is I will always preach about the lore of Winnie the Pooh baseball. I think it's the
Yeah.
funniest, greatest thing ever, where you have, for those that are unaware, Winnie the Pooh baseball was this thing that Disney put out in like 2017 that a big video game forum, NeoGAF, maybe it's 2013 or 11 or something ridiculous, got a hold of, and they saw that like this game was way too hard for its target audience. Like it's Winnie the Pooh. It's supposed to be like kids baseball game, whatever. And this game is impossible.
Yeah.
Like it is so hard. You have to grind. You have to hit 42 home runs on 50 pitches,
Yeah.
and these pitches move all over the place. Like they disappear, they bounce. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And then you threw it to this video game forum where they're like, we don't care about baseball, but we care about winning and defeating this game, and they got obsessed with it, and it became like this whole big meme thing, and it's the funniest thing ever. Pitching Ninja, I sent it to him and said, you got to do Christopher Robin for your name that pitcher. It was amazing. And it gets me thinking a lot about, like, I have so many thoughts about creating a baseball game these days, and I think there's so much opportunity, because what we have in the market right now is we do have OOTP. I mean, Spores in the chat does a fantastic job of releasing content with that and making sure that that's just such a relevant game consistently, and working with the community in a great way. And then you have the real fun, okay, cool, like here it is, like the most intense, like you are a baseball player game. Then you have kind of the arcadey one of Super Mega Baseball, which is still within the realms mostly of baseball, but it's like the NFL Blitz. Like, you don't have as much of like you're trying to go for that retro feel.
Yeah, it's very much like an homage to the old NES, SNES baseball games.
Like I think it's like Bases Loaded is the first one I played.
And even like old school RBI baseball, All-Star. Like there were so many games from that era, which is weird. I didn't grow up playing in that era. I grew up playing on like N64 and PS2. But the something about on mobile, like I think 2D really works. And I think you can still. I hope it will feel like those games from a long time ago, but play the way that like a modern game should play.
Right. Well, I've noticed this because there are like certain elements, like how the ball moves. Reminds me of Golf Story. Of like that's all pixelated stuff, but then the ball, like you can tell that that's not pixelated. It's like this extra thing on top.
That was actually really tricky to implement.
Right, because you can't really have it as a pixel thing because then it just won't look
and
quite
it's
right.
Not, you're trying to simulate a 3-dimensional arc in the 2D space. You have to play like a visual trick on the user.
It works really well. I think it looks great. What I'm getting at is there's opportunity with a lot of different whatever the zeitgeist is of game design, of having like throwing in pitches. Like you don't necessarily need to adhere to fastball, slider, curve or something. You could do the zigzag of a pitch in there if you wanted to. You could do the disappearing pitch and stuff. And having this world that like, no, guys can do it in this one, and it's just, I wonder if the audience would embrace something like that, or they're like, no, we don't want that kind of stuff. We want it to be more just like to the sport.
I haven't heard any feedback like that yet. A lot of the stuff I hear is they want the ability to customize everything. They want to be able to customize team names and logos and player appearance and player names. They want to like create their own little cinematic universe, like their own little baseball world. They want to create throwback rosters to the 70s or the 80s or what, their little league team, or there's so really much stuff like that, and which I think is really cool.
I think that's great. To be able to make it your own is a really fun thing. Is it pure single player, or is it multiplayer as well?
Single player, I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to be able to do some kind of
of course,
but one of the things that when I started this, I had no idea how to make a baseball game. I had no idea how to make a game. So I had to learn.
That's really cool, actually. So you started this whole journey, be like, what do I do? What was your first step?
Honestly, I was like, I have to figure out how to draw pixel art
Mm.
because I'm not going to be able to afford to pay someone to do it for me. Um, and so I literally went and I took video of Max Scherzer and Mike Trout, and I traced over like the frame, like frame by
Oh
frame,
wow.
to kind of create these little animations. And then um, from there, it was just like YouTube videos and documentation
And
and
foolish baseball watching, of course.
yeah, yeah, and just like, all right, let's figure out how to. I drew a lot of like old MLB players, like
Mhm.
uh, Ricky Henderson, Dave Winfield, and Wade Boggs, like these really like kind of iconic looking
Yeah.
baseball players. And I was like, let me just see what it would look like if I, made them in pixel art. And I kind of started there, and then learned how to like create animations, which is interesting. You have to go frame by frame and stitch together these things, kind of like
Yeah.
those little flip books, where the
Oh yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah. Um, and then it was like, okay, how do I just make a ball move? And that was really what started this whole, you know, tricking the user into thinking the ball's moving in 3 dimensions when it's really in a 2D space. And
Right.
um, in a way, having to draw like the stadium and the field art in such a way that it helps sell that illusion.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting. So like
yeah,
oh, fascinating. So like I would imagine you have to essentially create a lot more contrast between the ball and the stadium then, right?
yeah, and there's so basically, if you imagine you hit a ball or you throw a ball, you have a shadow that's always moving in a straight line between
Right.
where it started, and then the ball kind of arcs above the shadow. So a lot of the times I'm actually simulating the physics of the shadow as opposed to the
Right.
ball.
And then
It's
you're just
it's
giving a timeline of that
yeah,
for the arc. Yeah.
yeah. It's really weird, but it works. So yeah. Um,
I mean, who cares? That there's so many of these graphical tricks. It doesn't matter as long as the
yeah.
illusion is present, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
it was just like piecing it together piece by piece, you know, throw a ball, and then okay, I learned how to code something to just move the ball and make it look like they're throwing. So it's like, okay,
yeah.
at this point in the animation, the throw happens, the ball starts moving, and then I had to figure out, okay, how do I build something to be able to hit it,
Yeah.
and then to make fielders run after the ball, and you just kind of you build it one piece at a time. I mean, it's been an evolution over the last year of just adding on more and more and more logic and rules to handle it looking like a baseball game.
Well, right. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. Is it all built in Unity or
Yeah. All
it's
built in
okay?
Unity. Yeah.
That's awesome. So actually, I figured it'd be fun to just show it a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
going to use the Bitball Home Run Derby
Cool.
that you sent me. So I'm going to share with everybody here just so you can get a sense of what we're talking about. And let me see if I can make this full screen here. Yes. Okay. So my instinct when I saw this the first time is clearly I'm going to go for Lopez because
Yeah.
that's because it's pop. I mean, hitting power. So I don't care about speed and defense for a home run derby.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that what
Yeah.
you would suggest?
Oh
I
yeah.
go with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing in this is the power. So like
Mm.
if you were to use Sleeve McDykel down there at the end, you're gonna struggle to hit home runs. Um,
Sleeve McDykel is such
yeah.
a great name.
Have you ever? So there was an old, I think it was like Japanese or Korean. It was called Baseball Fight or something like that,
No.
and I think it was Japanese made, and they had all of these names in the game that were like kind of bastardizations of, like, you could tell like they struggled with the translation. So instead of
Sure.
like Steve McDykel, it was Sleeve McDykel,
Oh my
and
gosh.
like
We have
Austin.
Rotrigal as in
Yeah,
Portugal,
that
but it's
was
Rot.
one of them. Was I forget what Portugal's first name was. I think it was like Dwigged instead of
Uh,
Dwight.
oh my God.
Um,
This
so
is
they just had a
fantastic.
bunch of names, and every once in a while, every couple months, I see the screenshot of it like floating around on Twitter or
Oh,
Reddit
I've
where
seen
people,
this.
yeah,
Yes. Like, oh my gosh. And by the way, in the chat, they're saying you have to have tungsten arm O'Doyle.
Oh
Which
yeah. So
make
yeah,
sure you have that.
the game has a lot of references to real world stuff, like especially injuries, like freakish injuries.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of
Like
stuff like that.
sneezing and then slipping down the stairs of the dugout,
Yeah, or like
which is Luis
remember when
Castillo.
Blake Snell broke his toe because he was moving a pedestal in his shower or something like that? He dropped it. Like that's in there.
Oh my! There's the
Yeah.
clavicle of Clint Barmas, bringing up venison with Todd Helton.
I'll have to add that
I
one.
remember that because he was on my fantasy team
I think
in 2006 or something like that,
there's
2004.
one when Jonas Cespedes broke his ankles in a
Oh yeah,
a wild boar
yeah, right.
accident
And
on his
wire
ranch.
wild boar. I don't.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those wild boar.
What on earth? Anyway, so this is fantastic. I'm going to choose, of course, my boy Lopez because I gotta be good here, and I want to make sure we understand. So as far as like the gameplay goes in general, this is just for the home run
Mhm.
derby. When you're actually in the game here, this is what it's going to look like. Where I mean, right? I assume. I mean, not for the most part. Of course, you got
Yeah.
fielders and all that stuff. And you tap to receive a pitch, and then you tap again to swing. Is that right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, very simple
So
control. You can click anywhere on the screen.
there you go.
Home
I'm
run.
amazing. I just got a 568 because I'm the greatest baseball player in the world. I'm pretty much using a cheat code, guys. Okay, because I'm using Lopez here. But you can see I wanted to leave it here just to kind of showcase like you've got a really nice stadium set up
Yeah.
here. Which
Yeah.
one is this?
This was the first one I ever made, actually. It's sort of inspired by several different stadiums.
Well, yeah, you've got this. You got almost
Yep.
PNC Park and City Field in this essentially.
Yep. And then with like that big concourse and the really big wall in center field, it's sort of like Chase Field a little bit. I'm from Arizona, so I pulled a little bit from Chase Field.
That is a gorgeous stadium.
Really,
I love it. Oh, I love it.
A lot of people don't like it. I think it's
I love
fine.
it.
I mean,
It
grew
felt
up
like a
going to
massive
it.
sermon,
Yeah,
but I thought it was so cool.
yeah. A lot of
And
people.
all the greats, every seat is great. You feel like you're right on top of it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. And honestly, like their ticket prices aren't terrible. Like you can be in the lower bowl for the most part and not have to pay anything crazy.
So I'm just going to take a few here. I want to show the way the ball moves here, which I think is fantastic. And we're just kind of talking about that with everything else is pixelated, and you see this ball that it's not, and it's hard to kind of make that work.
Yeah.
Fortunately, with this, I can just not take anything. I'm not losing this home run derby right now.
Yeah.
So,
I had considered, so in this version with the home run derby, he just throws like meatballs.
Yeah.
I had considered like, sort of like Dave Joust, like throwing sliders during the home run derby, like he was throwing to Pete Alonso. What was that?
That's amazing. Yeah, right.
2 years ago or something.
There's also, I mean, so you're saying that this is based off of Max Scherzer, right?
No. This one.
Oh, just your first one.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. That's Scherzer.
So like when I first started, I was like, how am I going to make pixel art that looks good? And I like frame by frame took screenshots of Max Scherzer and just traced over it, and it looks terrible.
Home run.
I'm so good.
But,
it doesn't look terrible at all. This is great. So you say the shadow
Home
there
run.
is the oh man, bounce out. Oh my gosh, out of the stadium now. I love they're still running after it.
Yeah.
This is great. I don't take this away. I think that's so good. And actually, sometimes you might.
Out.
Oh no, Nick, come on. Is that you? That must be you.
No, so that is if you know Kofi Yaboa, he's a content creator. He does all sorts of like sports content creation.
Yeah, no, I know Kofi. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he does like Fumble Dimension. He's done stuff with John Boyce. He's got a really cool YouTube series called The Fumble Dimension, where he basically takes sports video games and comes in with some like insane premise.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did one on Out of the Park Baseball, where every pitch he instructed his pitcher to bean the batter. And played a whole season like that, and like the whole league was injured because everyone had been beamed like
my god
times. His team had been he had like hundreds of players suspended, and like it was just chaos. Like he just tries to like break,
Yeah, right.
the games. Yeah, so I had seen his stuff for a long
Home
time.
run.
Followed him on Twitter, and I saw one day he was like, "Oh, I want to get into video game voice acting," and so I just tweeted at him. I said, "Hey, do you want to do like the voice acting work for my game?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So I sent him a script, and he did some recording. So all the umpire calls in the game and stuff like home run and stuff like that, that's all Kofi.
Oh, I was wondering if there was already put in just being like a swing and a miss, or like I'm trying to make it a foul
Home
ball.
run.
Let's see if I can
Trying to make it what?
Just like a foul or an out. I haven't heard that one yet from him because I'm too good of a hitter.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, Pablo's very good.
Oh, I'm trying to be like late on it.
Out.
Yeah, foul. Okay. He's certainly having fun with that one. So as far as gameplay goes, again, like as a pitcher, I don't know what that's like. I understand it's straightforward when it comes to being a hitter. You just tap it to get it going, and then tap again to swing. As a pitcher, what kind of gameplay can we expect?
So you'll actually simulate when your team is pitching and on defense. So there is basically a screen where it shows like the opponent lineup. It'll show your pitcher kind of where they're at with their stamina and all of their attributes. And you'll kind of simulate, excuse me, you'll simulate at bat by at bat. And, depending on the situation, maybe you want to make a pitching change, bring in a reliever. I eventually want to make the defense and the pitching side playable. The hard part, though, is it just adds the complexity of the game. I would probably need another year to develop all of that. Just all of the logic to like make the computer swing and hit and not be too good and not be too bad, and base running decisions, and then even what is the pitching. You could just choose what pitch and maybe what location you wanted to throw the pitch, but then how do you kind of control the defenders? And I could just never really figure out a way to make it enjoyable or envision how I would want to play it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have like
let me think
sticks,
about
you don't have the controller thumbsticks, so you can run around or something. And
I mean, my best suggestion, or at least I'm thinking in my head, like, is okay. You obviously make the defense automated. There's no way in heck I'm doing that.
Right.
Like, absolutely not. And then for different, like, you essentially put in the request of what you want it to be. So you can say, cool, I want to throw this kind of pitch, and I want to throw it. Do you want to throw it away or inside, essentially? And then you have to do some sort of input that is
like a specific gesture or something.
Right. It's like this thing for MLB The Show is like doing that kind of thing that you have to be really good at. Or it's like it's some sort of mini game that isn't it's like a hard one in some aspect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that this thing going back and forth, the timing of it, fine. I feel like you can be kind of creative in the baseball world of like different things to do. And of course, I imagine as an iOS developer, you want to make it so that it's always with your thumb. Like one thing with your thumb, anything else with your hands is like, no. You want to be holding this with one hand and playing this. And doing that, essentially giving some sort of variability of like that actually working or not. That limit of it, and then just always making it simulated of like, cool, just roll the probability dice of the hitter, and then it just runs out, right? I imagine the current one is saying like none of that is involved. It's just generally this is what they throw, and like you're just gonna run it and see what happens. Correct?
Right.
Do you see that play out in the field at all as it goes like through the inning? It's just like the inning goes and okay.
Yeah.
So
there's basically like a sort of like a score box. Like if you're looking at the box score,
right,
and you'll see there's like a little buggy for like the base runners. So you'll see how many outs there are, how many runners are on base, what the result of the last play was, all that kind of stuff. So, it'll say they struck out, or, they hit a double, or they popped out to the right fielder, or something to that effect.
Branch Terminal is asking me to get the ball deep. So, all right, fine. I'll let the ball get deep. There you go.
Home run.
And I hit the ball deep. I have to think that they're like the more that you can just make it look, it's only those initial inputs and everything else is just automated from there. There's no like extra layers of it. Like you say, cool, this is this kind of scenario. Then these are the possible outcomes, and just like roll the die, have weights on it, go. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, this is easy, no problem. Like, oh god, the amount of Google Sheets for video game development guys it's massive.
It's interesting to build. So like initially I was just like, I have to build something. I have to build some kind of RNG for certain outcomes and stuff like that. But then you also need to tweak those, because if you're playing on like an easy difficulty versus a hard difficulty, you want those things to matter. Like you want a different range of inputs for certain difficulties, and so you kind of have to like, you know, if you're rolling a number between 1 and 1,000, where you set your markers for what happens when changes.
Do you think there's a big importance for difficulty out of the gate?
Oh yeah. I mean, even I've some like close friends and family I've given the game to, and they've played it, and almost all of the feedback is it's too hard. Like,
oh, interesting.
And which was interesting because I know when I talked to you, you were like, oh yeah, the home run derby thing is cool. It's very easy though. And I was like this was really meant to be very easy. Like this, you should be hitting tons of home runs. But in game with the with all the different pitches, and especially with the pitchers that throw really hard, it can be really like, I struggle with it.
I wonder if you can do just difficulty of like, all right, these guys can throw the Winnie the Pooh pitches.
There is a there's kind of a troll difficulty. So there's easy, normal, hard, and then harder.
Call it troll. Just
and basically every player on the opposing team is max stats. So,
how about you say steroids? Call that last one steroids.
There was or juiced or something early on. I had thought about putting some sort of like juicing mechanic in the game where like you juice your player,
and it's like an RNG if they'll get suspended or not.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. But every game you're like sweating if they're gonna roll and get
I mean, you just give it to the worst players. That's all, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Is that?
I don't know. That might still come into the game at a later point.
I love that. But you have to. I would imagine say like, cool. You can't just give it to the worst guys. It's like a role of like who gets it. Like who actually is up to do it.
Or maybe like your whole team goes on the juice. And
either all of them or none of them.
All of them or none of them. If you get caught, like you get punished, you lose, you take all your wins away or something. I don't know. Could have some fun with it.
Is that entitled Goose Game in the straight middle on the wall?
Oh no, that is actually my game company.
Oh really?
It's called Duckfoot Games. Yeah.
Oh duh, I knew that. Yeah, your email was oh, that's cool. That's great. The other things to talk about with like the different variety of games, and something I've thought about for a while, and I know it's not what this project is, and it's not that like I'm like, no, you have to make this kind of game. Absolutely not. It's just a fun way to kind of think about adapting baseball into more of a making it more of the medium of things that we already enjoy. Is there's this great game Tape to Tape, which I'm sure you know. Which is a hockey roguelike game. Where it's like 3-on-3. Reminds me of the Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey that I used to play, which is like, oh my gosh, Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey was the stupidest, best game ever. It was so random. It felt of when you scored a goal, when you didn't. It was like NFL Blitz, but it was hockey. And my friends and I, we don't care for hockey, but we loved this game because it was just so ridiculous. And Tape to Tape does a really good job of saying, cool, you are a team trying to get better, and every game you have attributes that you get better at or not. And I always thought about that for a baseball game of just, there's so many ways to do that where you can unlock like rare perks that are, oh man, where the ball is going to go before you get it, before you get served to it, or great, you've now unlocked the Bugs Bunny change up or something. or this guy in your lineup has more power or whatever, just like making them better through
Yep.
roguelike progression. And then
Yep.
all of a sudden but it's a run though. It's like your season is like 30 minutes long,
Yep.
and then every year you're trying to improve as a franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I know MLB The Show tried to do. They have March to October, which is very much that. You're not playing every game in the season, and there's points at which you make decisions, and
Right.
to try and I think any team that you pick could go on to win the World Series through that
Right.
mode, and I think it would be cool.
I mean, it's not at all what this is,
Oh
I'm
no,
looking for
no,
Bitball
I know.
2.
Yeah,
That is the roguelike one. No.
yeah.
Uh,
And that's the thing, like, I don't know, if this game were successful and I could go on and make another one, like there's, a possibility I'd make another baseball game or, just do it differently. Roguelites are really popular.
oh yeah.
People really love that like kind of quick gameplay loop where every run's just a little different and you never know what you're gonna get and you kind of have to just, you know, try and like min max your way through this run.
Yeah, there's
Um,
this excitement of like, it's like the power fantasy is the cool part
yeah,
about it. It's like,
yeah.
oh man, if I get this thing and this thing, and you feel like you all of a sudden were so close to making this all work well, or you're at this element, you
There,
just feel so great at the end of it, and you just want to get there again.
yeah, there is a game on Steam. Let me look it up. I'm pulling my Steam up real quick.
Yeah, baseball Hades says AGB.
Yeah, it's called. Where is it?
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways you could make it so cool. Like the first ball in play in every single inning is always an out.
Yeah,
Like stuff like that, where there's ways of saying, right, we're playing this thing, and there's so many events and different attributes to everybody that there are a lot of inventive ways I think you can get with what kind of perks, and you can make ridiculous ones. Like, yeah,
yeah.
you get an extra outfielder, or like you get to have a hitter
Oh
hit
yeah,
twice in a row, or whatever you want to
yeah,
like really amplify it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
throw two pitches at the same time.
There's a game called Super Psycho Baseball on
Uh-huh.
Steam. I think it's like a couple bucks, and it's basically the Christopher Robin Winnie the Pooh baseball. So it's like a home
Okay,
run
yeah. So they
derby,
just made
but
their
the
own version of
pitchers
that.
are ridiculous, and you have to, if you are able to clear a round, you can
Oh,
like
I did
spend.
see this. I
Yeah, it's
remember
pretty
this.
fun. It's challenging for sure.
This was on I think this was on that guy. I think his name is Iron Pineapple. He does
Mm,
the Souls-like games on
okay.
Steam, and it's like a roguelike. So he's like, all right, whatever. I think that's what it was. I don't know. Someone was playing this. I remember. Yeah, this is a roguelike baseball. So what? Okay,
Yep.
so I don't mean to advertise another game. I'm not
No,
trying
it's
to.
it's all right.
But it's just to give an understanding of like the possibility of roguelikes inside of
Yeah.
baseball, which I think is such a fun idea. You have this, so it's like, you know what is you know what it is? It's power boost. So it's a steroids one. Pitch speed reduced, right? So it's easier for you to hit. Increased range of perfect hit, right? So you have nerd glasses. There we go. One, right? Or you can heal, and I guess there's some damage assigned to like getting outs or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of possibility inside of it, which I think is a
Yeah.
fun way of considering, like, okay, how can we make these things that do create that replayability? And obviously, you're doing that with the franchise mode inside of it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of features
Yeah.
that won't be in the initial release that will add aspects to that.
Uh-huh.
Like coaches or scouts, like you'll have to go, build a coaching staff or hire scouts. And those coaches and scouts are or sort of peripheral, characters on your team can grant you certain bonuses towards your players. So, maybe they're a development specialist, so they get, your players have an XP boost while they're coaching your team, or, you know, maybe certain scouts are better at scouting certain things. Like, oh, I'm better
Right.
at scouting a pitcher or a hitter, and you can kind of, uh, adjust and sort of massage the gameplay to how you want to run your team and
Sure.
stuff like that. And there's certain aspects to the game, like there's kind of like three pillars that are not inside of like the actual baseball game, but are within Bitball. And it's like team morale, your fan base support, and your ownership support. So, your team needs to be happy, and the two ways you can do that is improve their facilities and win games. So like if you're winning games, everyone's going to be happy. And then your fans, like you can set ticket and concession prices. So they obviously want, low prices and they want to see your team winning. But if you set your prices too low, like your owner's going to be really upset, and maybe they'll dock your payroll allotment, or so you're going to have to kind of constantly balance where your team is based off of your performance. And my hope is that it will be challenging in that way to try and kind of thread the needle of keeping everyone happy and still winning games and putting a good team on the field. So
yeah. And as far as just how everyone can kind of get involved and play this game, is it just for iOS, Android? Is it for
so it'll
PC as well?
be iOS and Android, so iPhone, any kind of Android phone. It won't be on Steam or anything like that. It'll mostly be mobile. I've considered there's a way you can launch your game through like a browser. You can build it out to play in browser, just like how the Home Run Derby is built.
Yep.
So I'm considering doing that at some point, but initially it will just be on Android and iPhone. Yeah.
And is there a Discord for you guys to chat? And
we do. Yes, we have a Discord. I don't even know how I could link it. It's the if we throw the Home Run Derby link in the chat, there's
absolutely. Yeah, you guys can
links
have
on
a
that
fun
page.
time doing this, messing around. I had the link in front of me and I just completely lost it. Here we go. So it's obviously Duckfoot Games is right there, and I should have realized that. Oh, cool! You have a lot of relevant links here, so I'll share
tons of social media links there. Twitter, Reddit, Discord. We have a Discord server. I hang out in there a lot when I'm working on the game, and share stuff that like I might not share on social media. Just weird bugs or things that happen that don't become like a full-fledged social media post. And we talk about a lot of other baseball stuff in there too. It's pretty fun.
No, that's great. And when it comes out for iOS, Android, is it going to be a free game? Is it going to be
so it will be free. There will be sort of a paid version of it, so you'll be able to play the base game for free, but there will be some features that are kind of behind that paywall. So but you'll still be able to play the full game for free, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, I think that's great. Like a lot of times I would expect to be like, okay, I'm not really going to get what I want out of this.
Yeah. And no ads. That's one of the biggest things. Like one of the holes in the market, particularly the mobile market, is a lot of the baseball games, like they're cool, but they're chock full of ads and microtransactions. And I don't know, like when I play mobile games, like as soon as I get an ad, like it's just
you're gone.
Yeah, it really ruins the flow. So that was my big thing, was like I will not put ads in this game.
That's awesome.
But my hope is that like if the premium version of the game is priced reasonably, it'd probably be $2-3 maybe. I
mean, yeah. So that's essentially to get more franchise mode stuff, more.
So there will be some feature like maybe like player customization or team customization kind of locked behind a paywall. Simulation, like to simulate full games. Some people, they don't really want to play the game. They just want to simulate through season and kind of do that team building, roster management loop, that sort of gameplay loop. And so the ability to kind of just like simulate your game will probably be behind a paywall. But everything else will be in there. And then any like future content updates, I would say most stuff would be free. There's a couple I have in mind. Like I want to do like an international series,
Oh, that'd be cool.
All the players in the game, they're from one of 8 countries. So it's like United States, Mexico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Japan, South Korea. And so at the end of the season, the end of the championship, there's like an international series, and all the players from the league, they then go play for their international team, and you get to choose, which one you want to coach, manage, and then you kind of play through a little tournament. And so something like that would probably be under the paywall too, but I think that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. Is there a certain ETA for at least say early access or full release?
So right now I'm still working on getting to that point where I could open it up to, like I've had some friends and family play it, but there's still a lot more stuff, a lot of bug fixes and sort of polish needed. Sure. I'm hoping in like the next 2 months I'll be able to push out like a small like beta play test to maybe, I don't know, 100 or 200 people. And then from there, assuming there's no like total game breakers where it's, something needs to be really reworked, and probably looking at sometime around May for a release.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredibly exciting. Oh man.
I know. I'm kind of bummed because I really wanted to shoot for opening day.
Sure.
Just because there's so much buzz around baseball during spring training and opening day. I just don't think it can come together that quick.
I think honestly for something like this, I mean, I've seen it with pitcher lists and everything, like things that we put out. They generally, like, we do it in our, for February, of course, before the season starts, but a lot of the time the things that we put out aren't really received fully until the next season anyway.
That's interesting.
Because it's there's marketing involved with it, right? So it's like, cool, we are introducing it, that's great, but then becomes the initial group of people that understand it, and then it gets spread a little bit more and spread. You hear whispers of it through the season and stuff, and then the preseason, and then by the time the next season arrives, it's become a lot larger than what we initially did, right? So I mean, we generally don't do anything released that is like in September or August, because it's just might as well just kind of push it to the next year to get a little bit more of a attention for it. But even May, June, July, I mean, you want to have that initial base anyway. And I imagine you have the community already that is like, cool, very much inside of this. I think this is great. I think it's a cool, fun thing to play just on your commute quickly. Even like it's free, you're saying, so you don't even need to endure ads or anything like that. Just hey, you want a baseball game where you just hitting home runs quickly and managing a team? That's really fun. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I hope it'll be received well. I mean, I've been blown away at the response already, and the game's not even out, and very few people have even touched the home run derby, for example.
Right.
And I never expected. I think we hit like 13 or 1400 followers on Twitter the other day. I was like, I figured when I started this, I might have 100 or 200 people, kind of following the game when it launched. So it's definitely like everything's kind of accelerating in that aspect, which is really good. So I'm hopeful. I'm a solo developer. I don't have a big marketing budget. I'm hoping that it'll be good and people will like it and they'll want to tell their friends about it. They'll want to share it with people. And I can't thank you enough for like giving me this opportunity to come here and talk about it. Like, this is super cool.
I think it's so awesome that you're doing this. This is the kind of stuff that all of us baseball fans want there to be more of. We want more ways to enjoy this sport, and you're telling everyone, you don't even need to pay for it. Like, just play the game, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it enough that you'll want to spend the $3 or whatever it is to get all the extra stuff. I think that's awesome. No ads is such a huge thing. Like, just give it a shot. There's no negative to do it. You're not going to be frustrated. You're not going to be annoyed. I've been fortunate enough to interact with a lot of people in the baseball world that would enjoy this, and I'm sure that the second this comes out, I'm sure like Foolish and Mark and the John Boy people would love to give this a shot. Why not? Awesome. It's free. I would be absolutely surprised if you reached out to them and they said like, hey, like I have this thing that like I think you would want. I'm a solo developer. Like at the very least, just download it. It's free. That's it. If you don't like it, don't say anything. Sure, but you'll enjoy it. So I think it's great. I think it's stuff like this is only great for the industry as a whole and all of
Yeah.
us as fans.
Yeah. I know there's
And
like this whole perception that like, oh, baseball's dying and kids aren't playing.
not,
And so it's
it's not.
not. But also there isn't stuff like this that can like help them get into baseball
Yeah,
outside of playing on,
it's MLB The
playing on a
Show,
field
PS5,
themselves,
right?
playing Little League or playing MLB The Show. And so, maybe this is a cheaper way into baseball for some kid out there.
Yeah. I mean, there
And
is I understand there's a lot of that, like, oh, baseball is getting weird and it's dying in that respect, but there's also, I mean, there was concern, and understandably so, on the panel with Ben Lindbergh and Jared Diamond and Evan Drellich, because the baseball writing industry is in a weird place.
yeah,
And that's a very true fact. That is like, okay, but that doesn't mean the entire industry is failing, or
right.
that it is and it's struggling or trying to figure itself out. Like, I still believe that MLB The Show being exclusive was one of the worst things. And it prevented just the variety and the excitement,
Yep.
and the different things. And anytime you have exclusives like that, it just makes it worse because you do not have competition. You don't have incentive to do new, better things.
Yep.
I mean, like, the FIFA games don't change.
No.
And it's just, this is the worst.
Yeah.
So having games like this that are able to show that flexibility, show that show a different way of doing it, because it's not just one way that we enjoy the game.
Right.
And I very much want to I want to see Super Psycho Baseball, but like actual baseball.
Yeah.
And like this, oh my gosh, I would play the heck out of this game if it's like I mean, I'm gonna play this, don't get me wrong, but I very much love the roguelike mentality that isn't just cards anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of times I see like the 3 selections, and it just kind of turns me off of like, just I'm not so much of that, but just saying like, cool, man, you did so well. Like, here's this weird way that this game is going to play now because of that benefits you. And that's so fun. And give me, I played the Winnie the Pooh thing a week ago. I did that again. I was like, all right, come on. And it's so simple. It's so like nothing, but I needed to do it. I needed to, and it's like, you add a little bit of thing here. Okay, great. Now I'm going to try and do this one that curves this way and then disappears or goes fast and slow. And I'm honestly shouting at the screen.
I'm considering throwing the home run derby, like in game, there won't be extra innings. You'll go to a home run derby tiebreaker at the end of the game. So
obviously
that's super cool.
Way better.
Like, I think I could throw a mode in there, sort of like a challenge mode, like the Winnie the Pooh baseball, where it's just like,
oh, that's such a good idea. Of like the extra innings home run derby. The second, duh.
Yep.
And also, but it's a home run derby where you're not getting softballs. Like, you are able to still pitch against them or something like that,
Yeah.
But I am so stoked for this. Is there any like extra Easter eggs that you're thinking about adding to the game?
Not really. There is a prize for PitchCon to add a personalized Easter egg. So if anyone wins that or puts in for that, I'll work with them to add something. There is kind of a funny one. I'll add real quick. So back before the 2023 MLB season was starting, Zips projections were coming out. Dan Szymborski is, how he teases. Tomorrow, here's a sneak peek at tomorrow's thing. I'm a Diamondbacks fan. And he was teasing how good Corbin Carroll's projection was. And I DM'd him and I said, hey, like I need to know how good this projection is. Like, I think he said that the real projections were like a week away from dropping. And I was like, I'll throw you in my game. And, if you give me the projection early. And so,
so you're bribing with the game now is what you're doing. Well,
and if you're playing and you start a team and the system randomly rolls Dan Szymborski, he's going to be max attribute. He's like the best player in the game. Yeah.
Oh man, I was going to ask. I just want a pitcher named Pollock that is one of the best out there. Okay.
Yep.
Oh man, I will endorse Pollock the pitcher massively. Just give him a splitter. Okay, that's all. That's all I want. Just make sure he has a splitter.
Split change.
There it is. The good old split change. This is so awesome. It's really cool to be able to sit down with a developer too. I'm someone that loves designing anything from games to businesses to just any sort of product or anything. songs and all that, and to hear your process, to hear just the things that you've been thinking about. I think it's incredibly cool, and it happens to be a baseball game. This is the best. So what's the best way to stay informed about everything with Bitball?
Probably Twitter and Discord. Those seem to be the easiest. I mean, any of those social media platforms, like any big announcements will get posted everywhere, but definitely most active on Twitter and Discord.
Awesome. And I also chat right now if you have any questions for Matt. By the way, I want to make sure I have your name pronounced Matt Steele, as I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like steel
Matt
base.
Steele. I got to do that because it's just like Justin. If you have any questions right now for Matt, please leave them in chat. And definitely join the Discord if you're interested in playing this game. I don't know why you wouldn't. I would hope maybe even getting part of that beta test or something along those lines to help and give some valuable feedback.
Totally.
To ensure that the things that you would want tweaked or fixed, it could be as simple as like, oh yeah, great, that's a fantastic idea, and it could be part of this game that you'll be playing constantly, which I think is so cool. And the fact that you have Kofi as a voice actor is that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude. Like,
I mean, that's what I've seen. I'm just like, dude, he seems great.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, if you're a Pistons fan, you can join him in his Pistons misery.
Oh my gosh. And Matt, how are you in this game?
I am not in the game, actually.
Get out of here.
Yeah. But I'm good at the game, but I have not put myself in the game. No.
Okay. I mean, I would hope
I will. I don't know. We'll see.
The tricks. Is there like a secret level or something that you're thinking of adding?
Not really. I've considered adding like a secret stadium or something that like you have to win so many championships in order to unlock some kind of unlockable like that.
Sure.
But I think that'd probably be later down the road. Initial, I'm just trying to get the game out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like a beach ball mode or a big head mode.
Yeah, I had
having that loading screen where you input the codes and stuff.
Yeah, there was someone suggested, because there's one of the things you have to like improve over time is your stadium, and you have to kind of put resources in to make it better so your players are happy. Right. And I considered tying like maybe like the ball bounciness on your field to that thing.
Oh,
so
that's
like if your stadium's really bad, like the ball doesn't bounce at all or something like that. But I don't know. That might be a little too
well, you find it into like a ditch or something because the game isn't paid.
Yeah.
That's that's the thing I'm kind of getting at before of like I love baseball games that get inventive of changing the game in stupid ways.
Yeah.
Right. Like, cool. This is a stadium that has random things on the thing on the field, or like like ditches, or like there's crocodiles that are going to eat your ball or something like that. Right. Or you have I don't know, like in this one, the mound is all the way over here, or just ridiculousness.
Yeah. Or like a target in the outfield. If you hit it, you get an extra run or something.
I'm such a fan of those things because it really adds this extra level of just different every time, replayability and creativity that just makes you rethink the game as it goes on instead of doing the same one over and over. Obviously, again, I want to mention Bitball. It's this is me just kind of spitballing other things, and like what you're doing with this is such a cool thing. Konami code I was thinking, but it's not on a PC or a controller. It's with your phone. You can't do that one. I mean, if you I guess you can input it maybe, but like not really.
Yeah, you can put like buttons on screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely could do that. But anyway, Matt Steele, thank you so much for showcasing Bitball to us. Make sure you guys join his Discord, follow him on Twitter at _Bitball_game, and be on the lookout for it, of course, in both iOS and Android, I believe, hopefully in May of this year. Good luck at getting that. I know how crunch can get and getting stuff out. So if it's June, we understand. It's all right. It's going to be great when it releases. So thank you so much for being here, Matt.
Thank you. Hey, and congratulations with crushing your goal for fundraising. This has been awesome to watch.
I can't believe it. We're over $12,000 right now. This is absolutely wild. It's a huge thing about the community. I mean, it's a testament to them.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Matt, and we'll
Awesome.
talk soon.
Thanks.